Hi everyone, I'm Hector Garcia. I'm an accountant and I spent the better part of my professional career helping small business owners use QuickBooks to maximize their full potential. I love QuickBooks. I also love ChatGPT. And the last couple of months, I have spent tons of time thinking about where these two worlds can start meeting. Where does ChatGPT and the power of ChatGPT and QuickBooks and the power of QuickBooks start meeting and potentially start creating some interesting connections, integrations, and partnerships. So for some context, I'm kind of going to show you what I mean by this. And I'm specifically talk about banking or downloading transactions from a bank and using information that QuickBooks already provides and comparing that with ChatGPT. That's going to be sort of the premise of this video. So let's go into QuickBooks Online, and I basically downloaded 998 transactions into my QuickBooks Online. And the minute I download transactions from my banks or credit cards, QuickBooks will start suggesting categories for me. I would say 70% of the times, and don't quote me on that number, QuickBooks suggests things that make sense, and the other 30% is just completely wild. And this is where the potentially ChatGPT could help. Maybe ChatGPT doesn't help. This video is going to explore that. So let's take a look at something that's probably categorized correctly. So we take a look at this transaction from Aria. Aria is a hotel in Las Vegas. QuickBooks put this as travel. It didn't quite use the subcategory for hotels, but that's okay. I mean, it's not bad. It did that. This is the standard chart of accounts. I haven't added any new accounts. This is the best possible scenario for QuickBooks is we're using the chart of accounts that QuickBooks should know and understand, the one that most small businesses start with when they first start QuickBooks. So not bad. I actually like this suggestion. So we're going to be okay with this. Now, I could go into ChatGPT and ask about this, but since I'm actually comfortable with this suggestion that QuickBooks gives me, I'm not going to check into that. Let's take a look at this second one here that says MSFT. That's Microsoft. It has a whole bunch of other data, but long story short, QuickBooks knew as Microsoft. As a matter of fact, they're actually suggesting to create the vendor Microsoft, which if you go into Aria, it doesn't suggest creating the vendor Aria. This is a weird inconsistency that QuickBooks has, where sometimes they'll suggest to create a vendor, sometimes they wouldn't. My recommendation is you should always create a vendor. So in this case, since it wasn't recommended, I'm literally just going to create my vendor for Aria and put it in there, and maybe I can click on add and accept that. This is going to be much easier when QuickBooks actually fixes this issue, where it actually suggests to add the vendors for all the transactions, not just some random transactions. But in this case, I can just click on add Microsoft. And again, another scenario where I'm comfortable, I'm happy with the suggestion that QuickBooks gave, software and apps. Sounds about right. Microsoft software and apps, that's good. So we click on add. So now I want to talk about the things that maybe I don't think are correct. And this is going to be kind of tricky because if you're a small business owner and you didn't know what these things were already, if they're supposed to be accurate or not, then, how are you supposed to catch them? I get it, and the other side of the coin here is, Hector, if you already know if it's accurate or not, why would you even ask ChatGPT, just change it and move on? Well, the reality is that at some point, ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, automation, machine learning, whatever you want to call it, these things are going to be built into software, accounting software. And accounting software is going to essentially do more of this automation that the customer won't even feel like it's like something is happening behind the scenes. And I think long term, the average accounting software user, the average QuickBooks user, is just going to take for granted the fact that a human being used to look at these things and looks to make a decision as to what it should be categorized. I mean, the people will start just trusting what these systems do. So I just gave you those two examples of something that I think already was accurate, so don't need to go too much into detail. But I want to look at something that I know it's not accurate. So I want to check to see what alternatives do I have. QuickBooks suggested something. I don't think it's right. What alternatives do I have? So first concept here is we have this vendor called RA Info Templates RFBB. Okay, I don't know what that is. Okay, so normally, I could accept what QuickBooks gives me, contract labor, which is inaccurate. but I could accept it and move on. Of course, my accounting is not going to be correct. So one of the options that I have is I can select this information. I can right click on that and click on search for this in Google. So standard tip, right? Quick tip there. Life hack is you just select it, right click, search in Google. Google gives me 3 pieces of information. The first one is the website of a company called Rain Focus. That could be it. Okay. It says Rain Info, but maybe in this case, it couldn't add, just the way the information truncates into the bank, maybe it skipped that part. Maybe this could be the company. So if this is the company, then this is something about platform for event marketing, attendee engagement, speaker enablement. Not sure exactly what that means, but maybe I paid for a conference or something, and that's essentially what it was. But from the information that I have, it wasn't terribly clear. The second option in Google is something about some templates. So obviously very different than event marketing. And then the third one was something in LinkedIn, which is the same brain focus that LinkedIn calls it software development, so it's different than event marketing. So, it's one of those things that that's kind of the value of the accountant. The accountant can discern some of this stuff. But in the real world, software companies are going to give a suggestion. In this case, it suggested contract labor, which again I think is incorrect. Let's go to ChatGPT and let's take a look at what does it look like when we actually start asking ChatGPT to help me with this stuff. Now, I'm going to choose ChatGPT 4, which is the paid version of ChatGPT, just because it's better. So I'm skipping straight to the better one. I don't even want to toy with the free one. Contextually, to make this video worth it, we got to use the best possible version of ChatGPT. Now, I'm also going to start with a really important caveat. I'm not putting anything in the custom instructions yet. And then we'll go back to that and see kind of the context and how that could make a difference. But this is regular ChatGPT 4. The plus version is the one that you pay for. And then I'm going to take my prompt, because it's all about the prompt. And I'm going to copy and paste that into ChatGPT. And then I'll also put this specific prompt. I'll put it in the description of the video so you could, copy and paste it, play with it yourself. So I'm going to paste that and then press enter. And the prompt essentially says, this is what I want you to do. I want you to categorize the transaction. I want you to tell me, why you chose that category. I want you to keep in mind the personal nature of some transactions. And then I give it a specific example of how I want the information. ChatGPT returns with, hey, if this was Staples, this would be the sort of answer that I would give you. Okay, good. So it's primed. Now we're going to go back into QuickBooks. I'm going to copy this memo. And instead of copying and pasting into Google for a Google search, I'm copying and pasting into ChatGPT so ChatGPT can analyze this for me. Now I'm going to press enter and then see what happens. So ChatGPT says, okay, we think the name of this company is called Rain Info Templates. We think the description appears to be a software provider, potentially offering templates for various purposes such as design, project management. Justification is this should be software expense. Assuming it's the purchase or subscription of software for business use. By the way, if this is personal, this should be personal instead. So pretty clear in terms of like how it suggests stuff. So ChatGPT is telling me this should be something related to software. QuickBooks is telling me this is contract labor. And then Google search said something about event management. So maybe the answer is somewhere in between. Who knows? But I know exactly what this is because I did the research afterwards. This was I paid tickets to a big event that I'm taking my office team to in Las Vegas, and this essentially this is the company that's putting together the event. The event has a different name, but this is how it comes on the credit card. And this is like welcome to the real world. This is what happens in accounting: is we get some piece of information and we have to research and then contextualize it and ask questions and look at receipts and emails, and then based on that we triangulate all that and then choose the best possible category. So QuickBooks is still suggesting contract labor. ChatGPT is suggesting software expense. Now I want to add one more sort of little caveat here because I think it's really valuable, which is I'm going to create a new chat, but I'm going to go into custom instructions. And this is a really cool thing that ChatGPT Plus has, which is you can tell it contextually, who are you? Like who is the ChatGPT user? So in this case, I'm saying I have a marketing consulting firm in Miami, Florida. Okay. and I'm saying, give me the answer short and precise. I don't necessarily have to change this because I already gave it a prompt, but I could leave that there because that's actually how I like stuff. But notice I am telling it I have a marketing consulting firm in Miami, Florida. So I'm contextualizing me as a ChatGPT user, who I am. So ChatGPT may try to bring some meaning into the answers, and it's going to give me a different answer, which is so cool. It's so interesting that it could do that. So I'm gonna right click and paste the exact same prompt. So I haven't changed my prompt. I primed it with the exact same prompt, and then I'm gonna ask it the same exact question. I'll copy and paste this into ChatGPT, and then we'll see if the custom, what's it called here, the custom instructions, if me telling it that I am a marketing consulting firm, and then putting that payee in there and then pressing enter, will it give me a different suggestion? Check this out. So now with that context, it says same information. It still thinks it's called rhyme for templates or whatever, and then it says this could be office supplies or advertising or marketing, because this is actually contextualizing that I am a marketing firm. So it says it's a business that sells various professional templates. If the templates were purchased business operations, they could be office supplies. If it's intended for marketing materials, it could fall into advertising and marketing. So see how this is a different suggestion, because again, it's contextualizing the stuff based on this custom instruction. So now you're seeing multiple layers of information here, and how ChatGPT is getting closer and closer to giving us real good information. So at this point, then I could probably go back into QuickBooks and then put the right category there, which is advertising and marketing, which actually that's not the right category. Where I'm saying if that's what ChatGPT suggested, it would be advertising and marketing, or in this case, continued education or something like that. I don't even know if I have continued education. I have this, assuming this is a conference, sort of a learning event. Now, all that being said, okay, so now you know the context. QuickBooks suggested contract labor. ChatGPT suggested, I believe the first one was a software expense. And then the second one, once I contextualized it and told it I was a marketing consulting firm, it said this could be office supplies, because it could be a template, or it could be advertising and marketing. So I want to add one more layer to this, which is all this time I still had to go into QuickBooks, and I still had to go into ChatGPT, and I had to create a prompt. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts going on. I developed an app called RightTool. RightTool is an app that sits alongside of QuickBooks Online. It's a Chrome extension. This particular feature I'm going to show you, it's a pro feature, means it's in the paid version. There's a free version that contains sort of a light version of RightTool. But this specific feature is pretty much one of the most advanced things that we have, which is we integrated, or I gave you the ability to integrate QuickBooks with ChatGPT in some context. In this case, this is the banking context, to do the exact same thing that we did in ChatGPT, but all inside of QuickBooks, so it feels like it's one experience. So I'm going to click on ChatGPT Suggest, which is this button you see here that will only exist if you have RightTool, the paid version of RightTool. We're going to click on that, and we're going to see exactly what happens. So it's essentially the same thing that we did with the first ChatGPT without the custom instructions, which is send ChatGPT this memo and tell it, give me an answer, is exactly what's happening now. Now notice what's happening here. It's basically copying the information from the bank, and it says, hey, the category we're suggesting is marketing or advertising expense, and this could fall into this because you're promoting your business in here. However, if this is personal, so it gives me a very similar suggestion, but I would love to explain to you why it gave me this suggestion. And this is really cool because it's all built into your QuickBooks experience. So first of all, I can actually add this text if I wanted to use this as a justification into my records. I can click on Append to Memo, and then basically it will add all this information into my memo. So if I ever wanted to go back and say, hey, what did ChatGPT suggested, I could look at it in the memo as well. So that's awesome. And then they suggested to use marketing or advertising, I think it was, in this case. So then I would go ahead and do that, again, based on ChatGPT's suggestions. But I'm going to go back for a second here. I'm going to click on the settings menu of RightTool. This is the tool that we're using to sort of triangulate these two things. And I wanted to just kind of show you the prompt that we're using. So the same prompt that we used here into in ChatGPT to start a new chat, we built it into RightTool. So that's the prompt that's in there. But what's really cool, and like sort of the next level thing here is, you can change this bank text. You could change this prompt. So if you wanted to experiment with adding some additional context, you can do that. So let me show you the context I'm going to add. So I'm going to add here, use for context to choose a category, the fact that this is a marketing firm. Let's do marketing firm based out of Florida. Okay, so I added some additional context to the original prompt, and you can add whatever you want. And I'm just saying, hey, what if use this as a context? Would it potentially change the answer? Let's check that out. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to go back into bank feeds again, and I'm going to query the exact same transaction. So we're going to go here into this one. I'm going to click on ChatGPT Suggest, and let's see if based on the fact that we gave it some additional context, we told it we're a marketing firm in Miami, will it give me new information? It actually, in this case, it didn't, right? It says, hey, it's pretty consistent. We think this is what it is. In this case, it says, look, this could be branding, this could be design, this could be marketing strategy. So it changes the answer slightly a little bit to contextualize the answer. And also check this out. However, if the services provided are for personal use and unrelated to the marketing firm's operation, something you didn't get before, it may be considered as personal expense or shareholder distribution. So how cool is that? Let's take a look at another one that I think it could be wrong, and let's kind of see what this could be. Let's take a look at a real tricky one here. We have here Coral Dental Care, which is a dental office, okay? So QuickBooks is suggesting employee benefits. Not bad, because if the business pays a dental office or some sort of dental related thing, it's probably some sort of benefits. Contextually, I don't know if the business is, if depending on the information that I have about this business, if they're paying the actual dentist and the owner is getting some job done in their teeth, or are they paying some sort of insurance? So that's impossible to know. Again, QuickBooks would never know that. ChatGPT would never know that. It requires a human being talking to the owner of the business, looking at receipts, looking at emails, looking at context to understand what that is and essentially give the right suggestion. What QuickBooks is doing is taking the universe of every company that has used a vendor like this, or a vendor, or this exact vendor, what have they used in the past, and it's basically suggesting something that feels is the best possible option. So let's say I were to take this information and take it into ChatGPT, again, just so we can continue to sort of build the muscle of using ChatGPT in this case to suggest stuff. Notice that in ChatGPT it says, hey, this could be a medical expense or a shareholder distribution. Okay, so Coral Dental Care provides health services. If the dental service is for an employee as part of health benefits, it could be a medical expense. So that's pretty interesting that it actually, ChatGPT is smart enough to go, hey, these things could be happening. So think about how ChatGPT could also be a coach to the QuickBooks user to understand how to categorize stuff. And again, it does it like that because it's a combination of maybe the custom instructions we're giving it, a combination of the information that ChatGPT has, a combination of how good the prompt is originally. Notice I gave it a pretty detailed prompt around, hey, if it's personal entertainment, if it's personal health, charitable donations, this could be personal. So I primed it in the prompt, so the answer that it gives me, it's a little bit better. Let's take a look at this exact same sort of situation inside QuickBooks Online using RightTool's ChatGPT Suggest, and we should have very similar results because we sent pretty much similar prompts. And then this says, hey, Coral Dental Care is providing various services. This could be medical expense if it's an employee's dental care, if it's part of company benefits. So this is all awesome. So this is already giving me much better information. So again, QuickBooks suggested employee benefits. ChatGPT suggested medical expense, which is not even in my chart of accounts. Another really important concept here. Look, medical expense is not in my chart of accounts. And the reason why that's important is because ChatGPT doesn't really grab QuickBooks information. It only grabs the memo, which is what we programmed RightTool to do. We didn't have RightTool like go into the chart of accounts and compare things. We might be able to in the future, but this is just giving you a taste for how QuickBooks Online and its own artificial intelligence, its own machine learning, its all sort of global statistics of how other businesses do things, suggest things, then what you can do with ChatGPT by itself, and now with this new world of apps like RightTool that we developed that start merging the two things. So hopefully this video gave you a little bit of that wow factor. It made you think a little bit. Hopefully the prompt using ChatGPT, and hopefully you become a RightTool user. You start testing this stuff and start helping us take it to the next level. So I hope you enjoy that, and I'll see you in the next one.